Mr. Ratan Tata, but we focus a bit on the markets before we get to some of the other things. These are live visuals, of course, and we'll keep on bringing them. Piyush Goyal and Mr. Amit Shah out there. Of course, Eknath Shinde, Chief Minister of Maharashtra, also there, along with N. Chandra, I reckon, out there. So a lot of dignitaries, of course, out there. But let's quickly take stock of the markets right now. Let's quickly take stock of the markets right now, because to be honest, I mean, not much to take stock of, because the markets are lying absolutely flat. The Nifty 50 about 39, 38 odd points. IT's had a bit of a tough day in trade, so the mood in IT hasn't been particularly great in the session today. As we speak, the AMFI data is out as well, and yep, the net AUM of course goes up, and which is fine because of the inflows as well as maybe the rise in AUM. But active equity funds, Agam, 34,000 versus an inflow of 38,000 YOY. Midcap funds, actually the inflow is okay on a month-on-month basis. I wonder if the large caps or the small cap funds have seen a bit of a pullback. Maybe marginal pullbacks for the small cap funds on a month-on-month basis, but it's still in line with largely what we've seen. It's the large cap flows which on a month-on-month basis have seen a bit of a pullback. So 1769 crores versus nearly 2600 crores or thereabouts. Yeah. And flexi caps too have seen a bit of a pullback. Seems like large caps have actually seen on a month-on-month basis a bit of a decline.
Right. Yeah. Well, and of course, it perhaps would be pertinent to see how broader markets have done in the same period as well in comparison to the Nifty. If we can actually bring out that comparable chart for something like the mid-cap and the small cap index, and see what that has done with respect to the benchmark, if we can pull that up. But of course, for now, we are looking at very, very quiet moves when it comes to the mid-cap and the small cap indices. The mid-cap index, however, is under pressure for now, and it's taking a little bit of a cut, where about it's 0.2% down. Small cap index, on the other hand, advancing marginally so. So all in all, it's certainly turning out to be yet another quiet session. We do have a lot of traction in the broader markets. So let's pull up all the gainers and losers from an index like the BSE 500. And, right at the top of the list, you will have counters like Tata Investment, which is still up around 9% right now. Mazagon Dock is also up around 7.8%, but it's not just Mazagon Dock, it's also a handful of other defense companies which are advancing in trade. RCF and IEH, among others, which are advancing by nearly 7%. Rain Industries is something that we've already addressed, also up and about, along with Hitachi Energy. Among those stocks which are under pressure right now is Lupin and Torrent Pharma, along with something like Cipla as well, if you can see, and of course Home First along with Ambuja Cement also looking at a cut of anywhere between 4 to 5%. Well, let's pull up that index comparison now. So there you have it. That's your comparison of the Nifty and the mid cap. But if you can actually zoom out and take a look at how they've done over the course of the last 1 month, or perhaps the last 3 months, to get a better idea of the way these indices have panned out. And besides that, of course, we're not trying to conflate the flows with respect to the kind of performances, but perhaps it may just give you a better idea. So the Nifty mid-cap index is flattish, but the mid-cap index is part of it. The Nifty is flattish, but the mid-cap index is also moved largely in tandem. It's just that the Nifty has been relatively more volatile as compared to the mid-cap, which is, again, a very surprising factor. So, not too much to take away from that particular chart, though I would have expected that, we would most likely have seen a little bit of an outperformance for the mid-cap index. On the other hand, we are looking at a little bit of weakness for the small cap index, which is down around 1.4% against the Nifty's flat moves marginally in the red in the same period. So it does seem like the last few weeks have been a little bit tougher on the broader markets. And when it comes to the Nifty, well, it's been holding on. But there isn't as stark a difference in general, and that perhaps is something, that perhaps is the more important factor, that there isn't any big move or rather divergence, and which means that we haven't seen too much volatility in the returns of a lot of these traders and investors either. Niraj.
Well, let's get in our experts then to talk about what to do in a scenario like this. What should be the index strategy. That's the key call, right? The first question that we asked to Rajesh Palvia, Senior VP of Technical and Derivative Research at Axis Securities, is Rajesh, should you buy or sell the Nifty this afternoon?
Good afternoon, Niraj. Good afternoon, everyone. So for Nifty, I think it's going to be muted for the day. I think the way the data is shaped up for the today's weekly expiry, I think it will remain at the same level. 25,000 to 25,050 is likely to be the range for next 1 hour of trade. So I think for today's, though, I think there is no very limited opportunity for Nifty trade. If it's take a dip towards 24,950 kind of zone, then yes, one can initiate buy around those level for purely for trading perspective. But looking at the data for positional perspective, yes, for positional perspective, 24,800 should be kept as a stop loss to buy Nifty. And once Nifty able to take out about 25,100, 150 zone, then possible target towards 25,250 to 300 we can see in the short term perspective. But for intraday perspective, I don't think there would be any opportunity for Nifty because it's going to remain in the very tight range of 50 points only.
Kush, earlier on in the session, rather earlier on in the series, we'd also seen a lot of writing around the 25,000 mark. And if you consider the monthlies, the October monthlies right now, we still have a significant amount of open interest in the 25,000 put. In general, do you think that that level can potentially be defended going down into October? Or will there be other factors? And what are the other levels that you are keeping an eye on when it comes to Nifty specifically, when you consider a positional view?
Hey, hi, Agam. First, a very good afternoon. Well, on the whole, if you see, I kind of agree with what Rajesh said that, there could be consolidation at least for today. But the view is that, a breakout beyond the range of 27 and 24,700 on the downside and 25,200 on the upside, could give a more a clear directional play. I personally believe that, the kind of moves that we've seen over the last 3 to 4 days, there is a good likelihood of the index moving higher. Now, one data point to support that is that if you see the last 4 sessions, including today for whatever time is left, there has been a higher low formation, which is suggesting that in the interim, at least, there is support at the lower level. Now, what we've not seen is a higher high, on the charts, on the candles. So that is suggesting that there is lack of momentum. Could well be because of the expiries that played out yesterday, the one that is playing out today. But on the whole, I'll take comfort from the fact that we've held 24,700, 24,800 kind of support zones. So as long as that is held, you should continue to stay long. Yes, you're right that on the on the monthly expiry, there is still a lot of put base on the 25,000 mark. We're seeing some call base also. So the way I would look at it is that this gives me a broad range basis the 25,000 straddle, which is about 400 points on the call option and about 200 points on the put options, about 600 points on the upside, 25,600 on the downside, 24,400. That seems to be the range, as per the data that's given. The put base is slightly higher. Also, just one more additional data point to suggest that perhaps the near-term base probably is in place. So as long as 24,700, 24,800 is held, I'd continue to hold on to my positional long positions, even perhaps consider creating one.
Rajesh, the Bank Nifty has turned from 50,200 upwards in the last 4 days. Are you expecting it to move in tandem with the Nifty, or do you think there could be a divergence in trade here?
So again, divergence is there in the today's move itself. Bank Nifty is showing strength on the intraday perspective, but on a positional perspective, I think it's still we are waiting for breakout above 51,850 zone. That's on the spot. Bank Nifty spot. Until that level is not taken out by the Bank Nifty, I think still we believe that we may attract supply pressure on the higher side. So 51,850 is the key level for Bank Nifty to cross. Then yes, possibly Bank Nifty can also show some short covering action, and then possibly 52,200 to 300 kind of level we can see in the short term for the Bank Nifty also. But at this juncture, I think there is a recovery is taken place from the recent low. Some long built up is already there in the data. So I think if it continues to hold above 51,300, 350 zone, So I think, yes, there could be a chance that, Bank Nifty may attempt to give breakout above 51,850, and then possibly 52,200 to 300 could be the next target for Bank Nifty also.
Okay, but I just want to get in some stock ideas going. Kush, what are your stock recommendations for the afternoon?
Sure, Niraj. Good afternoon. A couple of them. Symphony, this stock has moved quite smartly over the last two sessions. Day before yesterday, we saw a breakout. Yesterday, today, there is a very clear, continuation of this up move. So from a near-term perspective, you're looking at targets of 1900, 1960, and 17880 will act as a stop loss. So Symphony, on the back of a breakout and on the back of decent volumes, remains a buy. The second stock is also an update, which is Strides Pharma. I think it was day before yesterday, in the closing show that we recommended Strides Pharma for a second target of 1525. Now that's been hit. The stock seeing mild profit booking at the moment in the last half an hour or so, but on the whole, the trajectory is pointing upwards. So a revised target for this one is 1555 and 1590, and your stop loss comes in at 1495. If you have an existing position, you might want to consider placing a TSL slightly lower.
Right. Rajesh, what about you? Stocks that are looking interesting this afternoon?
So first stock is from the banking space, that is Kotak Bank from the private banking space. Today we have seen a very smart recovery in the stock, and now in this recovery stock again managed to cross its a 50-day, 20-day moving average. Long built up is there in the derivative data itself. And the way stock has moved up, I think there is a possibility that, stock may continue furthermore upside towards 1930. So Kotak Bank is buy with the stop loss of 1845. And the second stock that we like is from the pharma space, that is Laurus Lab. Stock was in downtrend, and now if we analyze on the daily chart, stock managed to view breakout of its falling trend line. And in last couple of days, we have seen very strong buying action in last 2-3 trading session, and now in this process, stock has managed to give breakout above all its near-term, short-term moving averages. The way stock has moved up and the sector tailwind is also supportive, pharma space is showing good traction. We believe that Laurus Lab can extend its gain. We are projecting target towards 476. One can buy with stop loss of 457.
Okay. Well, before we move any further, there is a Kotak Bank, there is Symphony, there is DCW, there's a soda ash prices have gone up. So much to talk about. But let's go across to my colleagues, Charu and Sajit, who are at the NCPA, to try and give us updates of what's quite out there, because we see a lot of live visuals of dignitaries out there. Home Minister Amit Shah was also there. Guys, over to you. Charu, maybe start with you. And you've been there through the day. What is the latest update there?
So just now we had the Ambani family coming here to pay their respect to the mortal remains of Mr. Tata. Before that, Piyush Goyal, the Gujarat Chief Minister, and all the business dignitaries, you name it, they've been here, they've paid their homage. A lot of employees from the Tata Group companies, people from all walks of life, ordinary people of the city, everybody has been here. There's been a huge line, 3 different entrances, apart from where the employees are coming, apart from where ordinary people are coming, VIP entrances, all dignitaries. And sometime back, Home Minister Amit Shah was also here to pay his respect, and now after this we'll be taking more coverage of this, and we'll be seeing that the last rites will be taking place at a crematorium in Burley. And even since this morning, people from all walks of life, be it the people in service areas around his house, shopkeepers, everyone was talking about how they would see him sometimes. He would smile at them, shake his hand, and talk to people every time that he got a chance. So yeah, people really admire him and love him, and have been here to pay their respect, just to get a last glimpse of him since this morning. And the crowd is just pouring in. It's continuous. It's not stopping anytime soon. So it's really admirable, really inspiring to see this.
Sure. Sajit, there's one question which is on the minds of everyone. And I was actually looking at the shareholding of the Tata Group, how much the Tata Trusts own in Tata Group, Tata Sons specifically in this case. It comes to about 67%, if I'm not mistaken. And please correct me if I'm wrong here. The question clearly is that who takes over the trusts, even as N. Chandra continues to lead Tata Sons. But it comes down to who takes over those 2 key trusts as far as that's concerned.
Agam, that's a question which will be answered by the trustees of these two key trusts. Just to give a perspective here, the shareholding of Tata Sons are nearly 67% held by two key trusts, which is Sir Ratanji Tata Trust and Sir Dorabji Tata. Mr. Ratan Tata was the chairman of these two key trusts, and it was followed by some professional management which was there, including some of the corporate CEOs like Vijay Singh and Venu Srinivasan, who were vice chairman of these two key trusts. Now, if you look at the shareholding, Ratan Tata Trust had allied trusts which were involved in various activities, including education, healthcare. So they had this trust looking at specific activities there, and in those sub-trusts or allied trusts, you had representatives from the family which were part of the trust, especially Noel Tata's family were part of the trust there. In the main trust, there was no family member. There are only trustees which has been appointed by Mr. Ratan Tata, and I'm given to understand that there are instructions which have been passed on what to do next, and it is up to the trustees of these two key trusts, which is Ratan Tata Trust and the Dorabji Tata Trust, to take the next step with respect to who will be the chairman of these trusts. It is a very clear demarcation in terms of the kind of activity the trust will do and the kind of activity Tata Sons will be involved in, because Tata Sons itself is a professional board headed by N. Chandrasekharan, who is the chairman of Tata Sons, and he there too Ratan Tata has ensured that he has the trusted people and professionals in place to take forward the entire Tata philosophy and legacy going forward across various companies, because Tata Sons is the holding arm which gets into either incubation of newer businesses or supporting existing businesses going forward. So the two are the philanthropy and the corporate are totally separate. There is a linkage which is there, but it's it's purely been driven by trustees, which as far as Tata Trust is concerned.
Yeah, point well taken. Sajid, Charu, thanks so much. It's been the kind of day. I mean, you guys have been right up there. Thank you for getting us all of those updates. But
I just want to add one point to what Sajid is saying, Niraj, because I spoke to Mr. Ramodarai just a short while ago, and I asked him this question about what next. The succession question actually becomes a fairly important one, because who is the next chairman of the Tata Trust, which has a lion's share in Tata Sons, is something that Mr. Ramodarai did say will be declared soon in a transparent manner, as in all things, with the Tata name and legacy. Now, is it Noel Tata, his half-brother? Is there a different kind of a decision? That also becomes one key factor to look out
Unfortunately, no answers, because I think we spoke to Anil Sardana as well, and he said that I think the answers will only be known as they're supposed to be known. Nobody, very unlikely to have any kind of inkling about who the person is going to be.
Yeah, one more thing, maybe these things would have been put out there, but this is one set of cards held close to the chest, when on the corporate side, at least things have been very, very well laid out.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that people have been saying, because tributes have been pouring in, and we have been speaking here at NDTV Profit to a whole host of industrialists, corporate names, market names, who have talked about their individual experiences with Mr. Ratan Tata. Let's start by playing out what Mr. Narayana Murthy said, talking about some of his candid moments with the iconic Ratan Tata.
There were several occasions. For example, I think perhaps the most recent or the second recent one was when he and I were sitting next to each other at a dinner hosted by the Prime Minister for a visiting dignitary. I don't remember whether it was, Barack Obama or some other, dignitary. And I found it so refreshing that he was talking so much about his zero gravity ride experience in California that he had just completed a week or 10 days before that particular dinner. And he was full of enthusiasm. He was almost childlike. And I asked him what was the most difficult thing about that zero gravity ride experience. And he said, a lot of people came near me, and that was something I was somewhat uncomfortable. He didn't talk about the difficulty of zero gravity, none of that, because by nature, he was quite adventurous, as you know.
I think in many ways he was, of course, the conscious keeper for India Inc. He was, of course, an entrepreneur, a pioneer, visionary, as all of you correctly stated. But more importantly, I think he was the conscious keeper for this India Inc. There's a favorite prayer of mine by Saint Francis of Assisi, and the last three lines of the prayer say, "It is in giving that we receive, it is in pardoning that we are pardoned, and it is in death that we are born to eternal life." Not only was he wholesale in terms of his giving of his money, his time, his abilities, but also the kind of structure that he's built up and carried on for the Tata. He's a true apostle of Tata. I think his life and legacy, as you all have correctly pointed out, will live on. So RIP to a great Indian avatar and a great Indian hero.
He was actually quite a shy individual, somewhat of an introvert. Certainly not somebody who was part of the Bombay cocktail party circuit. He had a very close and small social group. And really, Tata's in the business to a great extent was his life. Remember, he carried the surname and he felt very deeply, passionately about the need to really take this group to higher levels. He also walked into very big shoes when he succeeded his predecessor, J.R.D. Tata. And you will recollect that there were question marks about his ability to really grow this business after what J.R.D. Tata had already done. So really, Tata's was his life for him. And yet all the power, the glory, the pomp that surrounds the office of the chairman of India's largest corporate house, he never let that sort of go to his head. He was a very simple, grounded individual.
So great tributes coming in there and a whole host of them. We've just handpicked a few for this program, but just so many all across the network, the kind of people we've talked to. But the other aspect is the journey of Ratan Tata and what that leadership looked like. This was a man who wanted to be remembered for having made a difference, and there's no doubt he did. Mahima and Mihika are joining us now to tell us exactly how. Guys, some iconic brands and some then great startups being looked at the end of his career as well.
Yeah, that's right, Tamanna. We mourn the loss of India's brightest gems, Shri Ratan Tata. But, under his leadership, there have been some key business milestones as well. Let's start off with Tata Motors. Now, in 1991, Ratan Tata was appointed the chairman of Tata Motors. And in 1998, he helped launch Tata Indica, which was India's first indigenously developed passenger car. And in 2008, he launched the Tata Nano, the world's cheapest car at rupees 1 lakh to make cars more available to consumer. But the game changer was Jaguar Land Rover. Now, back in 1999, Ratan Tata and his team actually went to Ford Motors, but Ford Motors rejected the young passenger car business because of the lack of expertise. But in an ironic turn of events in 2008, Ratan Tata bought Jaguar Land Rover from Ford Motors at $2.3 billion. And in FY24, JLR currently accounts for 3/4 of Tata Motors' total profits. But what about TCS, Mahima?
Absolutely. We cannot not talk about TCS when we talk about Tata Group of companies, where it got listed on the exchanges under Tata's leadership in 2004, and the firm currently is valued at roughly 15.4 lakh crore, and it's the second largest listed company. Now, in terms of in the consumer space, if we talk about what difference Tatas have made, Tata Salt has to be mentioned. Now, Tata Salt has been one of the first branded salt which was brought to India by the Tata. It was launched as an everyday household salt, which you could probably see in every household. And today, Tata Salt has 41% share in the branded salt market. But Mika, apart from that, Air India is also Tatas have played a big role there as well.
So Ratan Tata was actually appointed chairman of Air India, which was the then luxury air carrier in 1986, but he stepped down in 1989. But in 2021, actually, Tata Group reacquired Air India from the government of India for 18,000 crores, and Air India has reduced its net losses by 60%. But, you know, in the startup space also, Ratan Tata has backed a lot of known startups. Mahima, what are these?
So it's not just the legacy business, you know, that have excelled so well under the Tata leadership or umbrella. There have been several startups, you know, which he has funded. To name a few, there's Urban Company, there's Cash Karo, there's also Bluestone, which is growing in the everyday jewelry sector like anything. It also crossed the 1,000 crore mark in FY24. There's also Car Dekho, in which he invested in 2015. There's also Lenskart, in which he invested in April 2016. But there are more startups to add on to this list, Mika.
First Cry, which actually listed this year itself. We have Ola as well as Ola Electric, and Ola Electric listed in 2024 itself. So a lot of the companies hitting the Indian exchanges. And the other two are Snapdeal and Upstocks. And Upstocks is one of the top 10 discount brokerage firms as per NSE data. But let's talk about Ratan Tata's last venture before he passed away. And that was an ode for his love for animals. He set up the small animal hospital in Mumbai, and the state-of-the-art pet hospital provides 24/7 emergency care for your pets. But this hospital was personal, and this was backed by an incident that happened where Ratan Tata had to fly his dog to the University of Minnesota for a joint operation, but he couldn't make it in time, which led to the joint being frozen in a fixed position. So this left a dent. But lastly, let's talk about how Tata taglines have always something to do with nation building.
Absolutely. So their taglines, and the group has always put the nation first, be it Tata Salt, Desh Ka Namak, be it Tata Tea, which celebrated India's handloom heritage with Desh Ke Dhage, and also, you know, Tata Motors with Desh Ke Trucks. They've always put nation first. And Tamanna, as you rightly mentioned at the start of this show, that he's always said that he would want to be remembered as a person who made a difference. And I'm sure that the kind of work he has done, the kind of humility with which he's always presented himself, he'll always be remembered for years to go.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Mihika and Mahima, for joining us with those details. All right, let's move our focus to markets which have come off a bit in the last 20 minutes or so. Let's pull the intraday of the Nifty with some stress deepening for the key index. As you can see, you're not too far away from the low point of the day at this point, and come off its highs. The biggest pain point clearly seems to be IT stocks, and pull up the Nifty IT, down over 1% now. If you look at Nifty contributors as well, let's quickly get that up for you, because markets have been pretty range bound most of the day. But Infosys leading that pain point, Sun Pharma trend. So I would say IT, Pharma, two very poor pockets. What's roaring otherwise is HDFC Bank and Kotak Mahindra Bank should pull up for a special mention. Let's look at Kotak Mahindra Bank's intraday chart, and that stock has been zooming, showing a lot of strength at this point, nearly at the day's high, 4.5% up. Vijay Chopra joining us, MD and CEO at Enoch Ventures. Vijay, great to have you on the show. Thank you as always for speaking with us. Just want your take on Kotak Mahindra Bank. We'll talk about banks overall, but specifically Kotak Mahindra Bank. What's exciting over here?
Well, yes, the stock did correct a bit, and I think that it is coming off from the lows. Technically speaking, it touched the 200 DMA level, and from there it started bouncing back. Good chances it will go back to maybe 1950 odd. But yes, I don't think that markets are still out of the woods. So as you were discussing that markets are coming off, there is volatility. There is very I think there are pockets of excellence, and overall we are seeing that markets are not behaving in a manner they should. Yesterday also, there was no rate cut, as some of the market participants were expecting that there might be a 25 basis point cut. But yes, overall, I don't think the markets did tank. But yes, I don't even think that it was a thumbs up, neither a thumbs down. So markets have been sideways yesterday also and today. I would say there would be only few stocks which are, there would be some stock specific action per se, but index wise, I don't think that there is much action in store until we see some good earnings coming and there is a trigger which propels the market. We have seen that, BJP taking over Haryana and then losing in J&K. Probably, it gave a kind of a fillip. But yes, it is primarily toned down now. So the markets are looking at the earnings season, I guess, and that's the reason why markets are so calm at this point of time. So there would be stock-specific movement, pick up stocks which are low beta and conservative. I think that even if IT is coming down, I think IT and pharma are conservative bets. Apart from that, I think that select chemical companies can do well, and some few companies which are multinationals primarily, they might do well. I have some in store. Over the next few minutes, I'll share my picks.
Let's come to your picks in the next few minutes, but I just want to also get a sense from...
Sorry, just on Kotak Bank, I wonder if the rumor mill on the street is that are they in the race for some relaxations from the Reserve Bank of India? And I think that is probably one expectation which is leading the stock to do what it's doing on a flat day.
So not related at all, but look at what's been happening with Paytm. And the same rumor mills that there is going to be some relaxation from the RBI. So is there going to be a slew of relaxations coming in? Paytm today, of course, has come off about 1% down. But with Kotak Mahindra Bank, that may be the buzz. I was just going to ask Kush, actually, what he thought of it on the charts.
Paytm, is it, or Kotak Mahindra Bank?
Kotak. Let's talk about Kotak today. Kotak Mahindra Bank is what has all of our attention.
Well, the first day of breakout, the move is very big. Unfortunately, the volumes aren't really as big. They haven't really clocked even the monthly averages or just under. But again, given the nature of the move and the fact that it's sustaining towards the end of the day as well, could actually push the stock higher. If I had a position, I would continue holding this until 1910, perhaps even 1950 kind of levels. If I didn't, I would consider, but albeit a smaller quantity. Now, the stop loss for this one comes in at 1845. As I said, this move is not as big a volume-backed move as it is on the price side. Hence, the slight caution. Otherwise, the stock's actually gone past the 20-day moving averages with a bang. So the momentum could well continue.
Rajesh, what about you? Excited about Kotak Mahindra Bank, or if I ask you to compare it to, say, an HDFC right now?
No, Kotak Bank is our preferred choice, and in the beginning of show I have mentioned this Kotak Bank as a buy call, and we are projecting target for trading point of view around 1930, 1940. So yes, Kotak Bank has shown good strength, and the way stock has moved up in today's session, I think
what's the stop loss you're suggesting, Rajesh? 1930. You said is the target.
Yeah, 1930 is the target, and stop loss is 1845.
1845. So it's a buy at this point as well. All right, we'll take a very quick break, but we're coming back with more picks from all of our guests, and we get you the top buy today, sell tomorrow idea as well. Stay tuned.
I'm back with India Market Close right here on NDTV Profit. Just want to mark a few stocks, and I think caustic soda prices, I'm told, have inched higher, as a result of which we're seeing some movement in DCW, Epigral, and Tata Chemicals. Now, I have no idea about the valuations that these stocks would be trading at, but watch out for some of these. Could be active names for sure. As we speak as well, there is some activity there. Vijay Chopra, do you look at some of these names? Fundamentally, if caustic soda prices, I know, have inched up, would it benefit these? Would you be a buyer into any of these? Do you track them?
Well, yes, I think that Tata Chemical, GHCL, Epigral, these are all great companies. Especially, I would say that Tata Chemicals per se, it has been consolidating quite nicely for a long time, and I see even a golden crossover coming up in the technical charts. So good chances that it might go even cross 1200 and beyond. So Tata Chemicals would be my pick in all these companies.
Watch out though. There's some decent price volume action today into these names. So certainly a pocket that you might want to monitor. On the other side though, I think Pharma has had a bit of an issue today, and not all Pharma. I mean, Newland Labs is up 5%. Some of the others are doing okay. But look at large Pharma. Look at Lupin. Look at Nifty. Pharma is down 2%, and there's some massive cuts there onto large cap Pharma names. As of now, can't figure out the reason, but very strong moves down into some of these names and counting, with Lupin now down 6%. I don't remember the last time I saw Lupin 6% without any apparent US FDA action on it. So serious cut that is to come into some of these stocks in trade today. Wondering, Rajesh Palvia, is the trade already out, or is there merit in taking a fresh trade into any of these pharmaceutical names?
I think overall, if you analyze the Nifty Pharma, I think it's still in the bullish trajectory. Yes, there is a correction in Lupin today, but again, looking at this correction also, stock is now taking the support around 50-day moving average, which is placed at around 2150 kind of zone. So if any further follow-up selling, if we see below 2150 in coming days, then yes, maybe stock may continue furthermore downside towards 2100 to 2080 kind of level. But overall structure is bullish. Yes, this is the second consecutive month where stock is attracting some profit taking from the higher level. So I think 2150 needs to be watched tomorrow again. If it's start trading below those levels, then one can open some short position. But I think some of the stocks like Ipca Lab and other stocks from the pharma space like Divi's Lab, these are all still showing bullishness. And I think we feel that, pharma is the pocket. Again, long-term structure is still bullish. And I think after this, some profit taking, this segment can, again start recovering, and we may see further more upside momentum.
Okay, watch out. But some individual names have seen some serious cracks. What's doing well actually, and we saw Divi's doing very well yesterday, and on back of that, Laurus had made an up move. Divi's is down today. Laurus has gained another couple of percentage points. So some of those API names seem to be doing okay for themselves, 466 and counting. What is also doing well is TRIL. We spoke to the management earlier, and transformers and rectifiers is up another 5% today. This is a third or the fourth upper circuit for the stock after the results came out. Very strong projections by the management. I urge viewers to hear that interview. They're on our social media handles. They've given some very strong commentary, has TRIL. The 7-day chart will show you how there's been a step-up action in the last 3 sessions at least. So keep some of these stocks at the back of your mind. But what is also interesting is the AMFI data that has come out for the month of September. Inflows into equity mutual funds saw a dip of 9.9%, with large caps and flexi caps I think bearing a bit of a brunt. Alex Johnson to break down those numbers for us. Alex.
Well, it's a decent set of numbers for the mutual fund industry, actually, because what usually happens towards the end of the quarter has happened once again. So you've seen a significant amount of outflows from fixed income mutual funds to the extent of about 1.1 lakh crore rupees, and you see inflows of about 34,000 crore rupees into equity mutual funds, as a result of which the overall net flows are negative to the tune of about 70,000 crore. Now, take a look under the hood, because it's interesting. There was a mention of mid-cap, small-cap losing a little bit of ground, but mid-cap, small-cap, flexi-cap, multi-cap have all seen net inflows of over 3,000 crore rupees, and that looks quite healthy. Once again, most of the inflows coming through for sectoral and thematic funds, and they've gotten most of the inflows actually in the equity category, accounting for about 40% of the overall net inflows into equity. A large part of that, once again, is through new fund offers. So if you think about it, about half of the inflows, or more than half of the inflows into sectoral and thematic, once again, actually through new fund offers. All told, the SIP number also looks very strong. It is once again at a record high at over 24,000 crore rupees, and it's been at a new record since July of last year every month. So the idea that domestic institutions continue to have money is not going away anytime soon.
Thanks, Alex, for putting that into perspective. Well, it'll be interesting, and you have to admit, I mean, the month-on-month vagaries notwithstanding, it is, yes, a very decent number, so that's to be kept in mind. Okay, more on earnings, and it's upon us. The IT giant TCS, technically amongst the larger names, kicks off the proceedings today. How is it set to fare in the quarter gone by? Rucha Johnson with all of those details. Rucha, good afternoon, and what should one watch out for?
Thanks, Niraj. Good afternoon. So one should watch out for the reason for absence of growth other than India, because the management had mentioned a couple of weeks back that most of the revenue will come from India and the other geographies will be soft. Talking about the commentary for margin and the growth target, well, this one is also to be watched out for, because TCS generally gives a qualitative guidance for margin and revenue growth. Now, a revival in banking space is what the management was talking about in the Q1, but most of the brokerage houses believe that Q1 demand trends will not, flow down to the second quarter. So demand trends in the BFSI space, especially in the US, is to be watched out for, because TCS owns, and many other IT company owns, majority of its revenue from BFSI. Now, talking about the revenue expectations very briefly, well, in constant currency terms, the brokerage house expect around 1.5 to 1.7% of revenue growth on a quarter-on-quarter basis. And in terms of US dollar terms, revenue is expected to rise 2.7%. So this quarter is expected to be a soft one for TCS. And lastly, in terms of margin, well, margin are expected to be almost flat at 25% versus 24.7% in the last quarter.
Okay. Rucha, so the one number to watch out for, to your mind, Rucha, one number.
Of course, the revenue CC growth.
Revenue CC growth, and the constant currency growth of TCS expected to be about between 1.5, if I'm not wrong, or roughly that number. Is it already baked in is the question. Now, Kushbora, what the numbers come in, and therefore how to trade it is something that will be known best tomorrow morning or today post 4:30 p.m. If you were to remove the event from the equation and purely look at the charts, TCS has underperformed massively in the last 1 month relative to the others. What do the charts tell you now?
Well, not really as encouraging or nothing that stands out. If as you rightly pointed out, that if you take the event out of the way, there isn't anything on the chart that suggests that you might want to go ahead and buy. The near-term support for this one is at 4180, 4200 kind of zones, very close to those levels. Any untoward unexpected surprises could actually push it lower. So if I were looking at it purely, let's say from a trading perspective, from a near-term perspective, I would actually avoid this one. The downward momentum continues, consolidation with a negative bias continues, and very close to the support zone of 4180. So I would actually avoid this one.
Okay, that's the verdict on IT for one. What else? let's try and see if there are stocks which are flying around. TVS Holdings has had a move. Look at that stock today, 5.5% higher. It's not a very liquid stock, but keep that in mind. Some stocks which are spiking up in trade include a Safari Industries, a Cello World, and a Hitachi Energy has shot up in trade. I think it got some order if I'm not wrong. But Hitachi Energy, Cello World, but Hitachi in particular, 11.5% higher for this one. A few stocks flying around. Sutlej Textiles is the other one, Rajesh. Any thoughts on any of these? Sutlej, Hitachi, or some of the others that I just marked?
So, let me just pull out the chart.
You can also look at Adani Energy or Adani Enterprises as well. Both of these have shot up or moved up a little bit in the last few minutes of trade.
Yeah, definitely. So Adani Enterprises is in front of me only, and I was looking at that chart only. The way a stock has moved up, and now Adani Enterprises is penetrating its multiple supply zone for the near-term structure, which is placed at around 3,200 kind of level. I think if stock able to succeed above this 3,200, then possible rally can extend, because after almost consolidation of 3 week, now stock is managing to give breakout above this consolidation range. So I think above 3,200 there is a possibility of rally towards 3,260 to 3,280. So Adani Enterprises is looking attractive. In last couple of minute we have seen very sharp up move in this counter. I think there could be a follow-up buying action in the coming day. So one can look to buy this stock with stop loss of 3,145.
Okay. Now, I think this is interesting. What supposedly has come out is that the Biden-Harris administration has taken the next steps on the proposed model to lower prescription drug costs for people with Medicare. And Tamanna, patient-centric approach, $2 number is the maximum out-of-pocket limit. Wow. And not the price at which CMS buys. And is this the reason why the Lupins of the world are correcting?
So it could be two things. If it's not at the price CMS buys, then who bears the bill? You always have to look at that. Is it the US government who bears the bill? Or is there a concern of further price erosion, which has been a big problem for the pharma space, which is why you're seeing, Lupin, they're really down in the dumps, but Cipla, Torrent Pharma, companies that have more US exposure, taking it on the chin even further. Just want to get a quick view from Vijay Chopra on this as well. Vijay, we spoke earlier about why pharma stocks were ailing, but this seems to be one prime reason. Now, the other thing that this points out is this won't be implemented before 2027. And then let's be honest, you'll have another government in place and could be reviewed as well. So is it as big a threat as it's seeming at this point for Indian pharma companies?
Well, I don't think so, because, as you said, we have a lot of time. Secondly, it might be reviewed. Thirdly, somebody, as you only said, that, might foot the bill. Maybe the government, if it subsidizes the medicine, they pitch in and, fill the gap. So, although it's a knee-jerk reaction, I would say, but again, I think that the kind of stature Indian companies have attained in the last 2 decades, as far as the pharma industry goes, the world cannot do without India. People don't trust China, so this China plus one policy, actually fits in very well for the pharma industry. So I think it's a knee-jerk reaction. These companies might recover because they are behemoths in themselves. It's not only US but several European countries and probably everywhere in the world, Indian pharma companies send their medicine. So it's a knee-jerk reaction, and there might be a way out for sure. It's not like they're going to take price cuts or cuts in their profits considerably. And if at all there is some possibility, yes, here or there. But I suppose that it's not going to be a big jolt to the balance sheet.
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see, because this is a move by the Biden-Harris administration. Now, if Harris is the next president, then it's unlikely she will roll it back. So then this becomes one key factor to watch out for going ahead as far as the US elections is concerned. But let's take a quick take on the FMCG space and an interesting interview for you coming up. Homegrown food company Britannia Industries and French dairy BEL Group announced the inauguration of their cheese factory in India. My colleague Mahima visited the cheese factory and spoke to both the companies about their plans after the joint venture. Listen in.
So we made great progress, first of all. It's been, less than 2 years, and we've been able to start this factory, which you'll see today, and you'll realize how good, this factory is and how smooth the startup we've been able to, get to. Now, that's one part of it. With the product being produced, with us owning the back end and us being able to get all the efficiencies to the table, we will start to see how our P&L looks. Break even is, I don't think we'll have a problem in a cash break even, but how does the capex payback? That'll take some time. The capex payback will be at least 8-year payback. So but that's fine. Both partners are aligned on it, and we are very clear that this is a long-term business because we are entering a category which is very nascent. It's a very small category currently, but we are seeing this category gallop in terms of growth, and hence we feel that this is the right time to enter so that at some stage we can be a substantial part of this category. And the vision is that we should get to at least 1/4 of the category in the next 5 years.
That's Britannia for you. And remember, FMCG has been a bit of a cloud. But 5 minutes left for the markets to shut shop ahead of TCS numbers, ahead of Friday tomorrow. It'll be important to get in the BTST or STBT trades, as the case may be. Kush, to you first. Your top BTST or STBT?
BTST in this case, Niraj, two of them. Crompton Greaves has been making steady but solid moves on the upside today. The closing in all likelihood will be above the 20-day moving average, which is also a positive sign. So from a BTST perspective purely, the targets are 446 and 452. Stop loss for this one comes in at 434. And given the day today and the importance that it holds, cannot close it without a mention of a Tata Group company. So Indian Hotels also makes the cut. We've had a closing above the 20-day moving average yesterday, sustaining above that. So again, from a BTST perspective, 718, 727 are your targets, and your stop loss for this one comes in at 696.
What about you, Rajesh?
So Tamanna, as we spoke about Adani Enterprise, that stock is doing good. So I think that stock can be carried as a BTST. And another two stocks, one is from automobile, that is Mahindra and Mahindra. Here we feel that, the way stock has moved up, there is a possibility that, stock can manage to give breakout of its previous swing high, which is almost trading around those level only. So I think M&M can extend its gain. 32.45 would be the next target. Keep a stop loss of 3158. And the second stock is from the real estate space, that is Oberoi Realty. Here also we are seeing that, this is third consecutive day where stock is making a higher high low formation. And the way stock has recovered in last couple of days, we believe that, here there is a potential for furthermore upside towards 1925. So one can buy Oberoi Realty with a stop loss of 1855.
You look at technicals too. Anything on the top of your mind? Vijay Chopra, anything top of your mind? You look at technicals as well.
Yeah, so there are a few stocks I like. One is R Systems in the tech space. This is Midcap IT. The other company is Happiest Minds, which is trading at about 806 for a target of 900. We can initiate a trade. There's another tech-related company, although into consulting as well. That is Excelia Solutions. So the stock has moved up, today, trading at about 1780. It could be bought for a target of 1950. And finally, a multinational company, SKF. It's a very big company and a large player into the bearing space. So I would recommend a buy on it. presently trading at 5,300 odd for a target of 5,800 and 6,000 respectively.
Okay, so those are some of the stock picks for you. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us today on the show with all of your ideas, and we'll wait and see how tomorrow turns out to be. But meanwhile, for all you sports enthusiasts, look at the news that we're flashing on our ticker today. Rafael Nadal has announced his retirement. The 22-time Grand Slam champion will retire from tennis. He will play his last match in November. What a Grand Slam of a day it has been in terms of news, Niraj. And topping it out with Rafa's retirement.
Yeah, I mean, and the best clay court player ever by a country mile. And who can emulate such a record that he's had at Roland Garros is a question that not too many people will be able to answer. Maybe Pranjal might be. But yeah, let's start wrapping up the markets for you. And Nifty Bank has done well, so you've got to give credit to Kotak Bank and some others. Not quite the same for Nifty ID, so that's kind of balanced it out. So that's one thing. And just pull up the Nifty 50 names if we can very quickly to just show you Kotak Bank at one end of the draw, a 3.9% higher along with HDFC Bank. So really good show there, by the way. And JSW Steel bouncing back a little. On the other hand, Cipla, Kotak Mahindra, Trent sees some bit of profit booking, but essentially IT and Pharma have taken a bit of a backseat in the large cap space.
I want to mark out some of the Tata stocks that have done well because it's just been emotional. Tata Chemicals, maybe because of the caustic soda price hike more than anything else. So we'll pull up that stock as well. But nevertheless, look at a Tata Investment. Tata Chemicals up about 4%, but Tata Investment today about 5.5%. So you've had some of those. Tata Elxsi has done well today. Some of the others haven't. TCS I have to mark out because numbers will be coming in just a short while from now, and that stock is closing about 1% down. But then all of IT is having a tough day. IT has had a bad day. Farmers had a terrible day. Look at some of the top losers on the Nifty 500 or the BSE 500 even. Lupin down about 6%. Today, Cipla, of course, we pointed out for the pain that Cipla was seeing. Alembic Pharma, all of those companies really hurting. AkzoNobel has been hit a bit after a statement from Asian Paints saying that they might be looking at the company. Brigade Enterprises taking a knock. But on the winning side, some of your defense plays have been doing fairly well. Mazgaon, RCF, all they're booming. All in all, I would say a so-so day. But Nifty IT is really the story this afternoon in terms of the knock it's taken. I mean, what is the street seeing ahead of TCS numbers is what I'm really wondering, because this has deepened over the last few minutes as well. But that's all the time we have on India Market Close. Thank you so much for joining us. From Niraj, me and the team that put the show together. Great to have you on, but stay tuned because on the other side, our special coverage on Ratan Tata continues.